Alright, so I really enjoyed watching you guys make the pine cone bird feeders. And so I made the comment to Ed about doing the suet that I do. So I've actually got a finished one that I'm going to take apart, only because it takes a couple of hours for it to set. And then I'm going to just show you how I make the suet I make for my feeders. So the reason I'm wearing gloves is because this is peanut butter and Crisco as the main ingredients. So it's very, very sticky. But the animals love it. As you can see, I'm doing this, as I said, kind of backwards, where I'm showing you the finished product versus showing the other. And I am wearing kind of old clothes because this is a very messy process to do. So if you choose to try to do this in some format, Emma, as you can see, it is very, very sticky. Just trying to get out the first. And this is why I don't do cooking shows. They all have professional peoples who get this stuff done. And this is why you got to get your own hands in here at some point to start pulling them. What I usually do, wow, there, that's what and I store them in the freezer. I just closed that rather than opening it. To keep them frozen, so if you leave them at room temperature, you can see they're very, very soft, but they'll freeze solid with a little more time in the freezer. It's also why I'm trying to use all the non-stick type pans and utensils and so on. As you can see, it's not really uniform shapes or sizes, so it's kind of, you know, the problem with what I'm about to do is it's a lot of by guess and by gosh. I put in, much to Ed's chagrin, enough of something. So, as I said, basically I'm just doing this just to show you something for fun that you can do. So that is finished product going back into the freezer to be used at a later date. What I'm literally going to do with what's on this right now is it's going right out my back door for somebody to enjoy. Alright, so now to actually go on to doing this proper. So one of the things that I do to make my life a lot easier with all of this is I actually spray, I forgot to spray that, but that's fine. I actually spray down the cans and such I'm using, any pan or whatever, just to make it easier to get it out in the long run. This is roughly 2 cups of peanut butter, or half a jar that I've used. I find it much easier to melt it in the microwave because my microwave actually has a thing to melt peanut butter as a setting. I don't know how many people, yes it does, it has, Ed's laughing. There absolutely is a setting for melting peanut butter on our microwave. I don't know why. In the back pan here, I've got some Crisco, straight Crisco that's being done. I'm actually going to get rid of the gloves for the moment, because it's much easier to hold everything without those gloves. I preset a lot of the stuff just to make life a little easier and faster. Regardless, it still takes a few minutes to do things. Know that this will make everything that you put this on really like sticky, gooey, floury. So it's not exactly a great home project to do unless you have an understanding partner or parent figure who's going to be fine with you, you know, getting peanut butter, bird seed, flour, and such all over your counters / stove. You can pretty much use any type of container you want. Obviously, whatever microwavable container to put your peanut butter in. Whatever bowl you want to use is fine. I just happen to be using a Pyrex 8-cup large measuring cup. So, you start with your melted peanut butter, and that goes right on it. And you're just using a spatula just to get all of it out that you can. I will make the comment that as soon as you are done making this, you should immediately wash every single thing that you're using, because hardened peanut butter is a real pain to get out of things. So, while it's still relatively non-hardened, you should wash your pans. So, you have now your melted peanut butter, roughly 2 cups, 2-3 cups in this case. Now, at this point you want to add something to make it more stiff or tacky. I put in flour. You can also use cornstarch. Whichever you can find right now actually kind of becomes the... again, this happens to be a 1/2 cup measuring cup I'm using. I put in enough. I know that's a horrible way of saying it. It's more of something that you do by feel than by measurement. It's kind of the good old Swamp Yankee way of doing things. So basically you want to stir this up until the flour is all mixed in. And it's going to be a little tough to do. This is like a great group project to do with people when we're allowed to be in groups again. You know, you can have one person putting the stuff in. Now, what you want to do is put in enough flour or cornstarch until it is really, really tacky and stiff. So at this point, of course, it looks like I've put in too much flour, but that's not the case. Because although the peanut butter is what's actually going to draw in your birds and your squirrels and such, what you actually do to give them their kind of extra is, this is Crisco, which is actually really good for critters, but it's also going to re-soften. And it's also what made it really soft when I was trying to take it out. And again, this is that back and forthing. If it's too liquidy like it is now, that's simply fixed. You simply put in a little more flour. Hence why, I'm sure somewhere out there they've got a professional way of doing this that actually has proper proportions.
Don't forget the burner in back.
No, I'm still melting Crisco.
Okay.
I appreciate that, but that's an important point. Remember, just in case I put too much of the flour in, I might have to pour more Crisco in, so. Which I did. So I need a tiny bit more Crisco. Crisco melts really fast and easily, so be cautious not to put too much Crisco on that back burner. So now as you see, you've got that nice consistency. So now, to make it more enticing to the birds, depending on how much is in, again, how much flour I put in, or peanut butter or what have you, I will put 1 to 2 cups of birdseed. And this birdseed is just your standard backyard. I happen to buy it in a very large bag at BJ's, but I know you can buy them in smaller portions at other stores. And you just want to get your arm workout, because this is, again, very stiff. It's a little too stiff, so again, that's the last of my Crisco. Because again, you want it enough that it can flow just ever so slightly, so it's very tacky, but it has a fluidity to it, so that you can definitely see. And actually, I'm going to put just another half a cup of seed in. Just because that's also what's going to attract your birds. I do this mainly for squirrels, to keep them away from my bird feeder. Doesn't always work. I have noticed lately that I am attracting a lot of nice birds to the suet feeder, as well as to my bird feeder with this. We've gotten, the stereotypical, the robins, the blue jays, some we have a family of mourning doves that actually grabs the crumbs from the floor that they all drop. And then you have actually got a bunch of catbirds right now. We've also got a woodpecker that is showing up to get some of this. I'm not quite sure what size pan this is. I think it's an 8 by something. It's not an 8 by 8 because that would be square, which I have around the corner. Again, although it's technically a non-stick pan, this stuff is so gooey. I absolutely coat it again, and then just into the pan it goes. You just spread it. Again, under the category of it doesn't matter who's, what shape or size or form. Again, if you want to be fancy, you can make it all even. I have learned the birds don't care. So I'm not exactly very artistic when I'm putting this stuff in. My goal is just to get it all out of this pan and, out of the bowl and into the pan and into the freezer. And I just try to make it somewhat even so I don't end up with huge fat pieces and tiny little thin pieces. But again, when you cut it up, you can also change that. And again, the animals don't seem to care. I've seen them fight over the little scraps like I just threw out a second ago. I've also seen them fight over big pieces. From here, you literally just take it. Resist the urge to lick your fingers. I've done this with a couple of people who've literally gotten to this stage and have gone and put their finger in their mouth going, oh, it's peanut butter. Not realizing that Crisco is a really, really strong flavor. As you see, I'm wiping my hands on my shirt because I'm wearing an old ripped shirt, so it doesn't matter. And then from here, it just goes into the freezer. I tend to put mine on a cookie pan, a baking sheet, cookie sheet, with some wax paper on it, just so that you don't get anything stuck to your actual freezer. The suet feeders, I put these into. They tend to run away on me a lot from them, so I actually have a bunch of them on spare. But this is the size, and it usually fills about that much of the feeder. So, and that's how I make my suet. And you can actually see a squirrel bunching very fervently out there on what I just threw out.
Yep.
And you possibly see the one that's hanging. It's very hard from here to see the one that's hanging off of the tree, but he's going, where's the rest of it? Yeah, he scrambled away with that, so that's nature in action.
All right.
Yep.